and gentlemen, welcome to NTR. I'm really excited to host you on another News Plus with a very important colleague all the way from Australia representing the Somalian community, and he's a wonderful scholar, my dear colleague and friend, Omar Dolava. He is really, it's 1 a.m. over there and it's 5 p.m. here in Turkey and 2 p.m. in Africa. So he was very kind to stay awake in Australia just to talk about the Australian community, the Somalian community in Australia, and his amazing work as a scholar in international relations. Omar Dolava, welcome to News Plus.
Thank you very much, your host, Slim.
We are really excited that you had the time to join us with short notice. I know it's 1 a.m. there, so I can't thank enough on behalf of our television channel for your valuable time. Thank you so much, sir.
My pleasure, sir.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll show a short video about Somalia, and then we will talk many things with our dear brother, dear colleague, Mr. Omar Dolava, who is a very important scholar as well as a community leader in Australia representing Somalia. We'll talk about many things, but first let's watch our video, shall we?
There's a country where lots of girls get named Istanbul and boys Erdogan. It's got the largest Turkish embassy in the world, is filled with Turkish hospitals and schools, and many of its people adore Turkey. Some can even speak Turkish. But this country isn't one of Turkey's neighbours or even in the same region. That's right, Somalia. In case you haven't heard, Turkey and Somalia are really good buddies. Not only is Turkish Airlines the only international flight there, but Turkey has invested millions into aid and development in Somalia and helps them in their fight against terrorism. Turkey's presence in Somalia, a famine-ridden, war-torn, terrorist-infested country, has something to do with a concept called first mover advantage, and it helps both Turkey and Somalia. You see, there are many African countries that need aid, and many already have heavy foreign investment, mostly from China. But Somalia is different. There, the political and economic climate is so unstable that no one's taking the risk, except Turkey. In 2011, in the height of famine and severe food insecurity that killed 250,000 Somalis, Turkey stepped in with major aid and investment. Erdogan became the first non-African leader to visit Somalia in 2 decades.
Bu kardeşliğimizin bir gereğiydi. Bunu yapmanın memnuniyeti içerisindeyiz.
After that, Turkish investment went full speed. Ankara started rebuilding the airport, paving roads, building schools and hospitals. Turkish Airlines became the first international carrier to fly to Somalia in more than 2 decades. And Turkish development agency TİKA and the Turkish Red Crescent, along with other NGOs and organizations, began large-scale construction, waste collection and water treatment projects. Turkish Airlines has also helped carry tons of aid during the recent famine. In just 6 years, Turkey became Somalia's 5th biggest source of imports and has provided more than $1 billion in aid. The bilateral trade went from $6 million to $72 million in 5 years. And while Turkey is building schools within Somalia, it's also providing thousands of Somali students with scholarships to study in Turkey. Meanwhile, many Turkish aid workers and professionals travel to Somalia to contribute to development, despite frequent Al-Shabaab attacks, especially in the capital. Turkey just recently opened its largest overseas military training facility in Mogadishu, where they can train more than 1,500 Somali troops at a time. And the investment is paying off. Turkey has earned the appreciation of Somalis who see Turkish support and aid all around them. They watch Turkish soap operas and buy Turkish products, and while Turkish officials express that it's out of humanitarian duty that they're helping rebuild Somalia, it's a win-win for both sides. Somalia is providing Turkey with a new market in a place mostly untouched by other investors, where it can enjoy its first mover advantage. And the Horn of Africa country is also in a strategic location, serving as a gateway to the rest of Africa. It could boost Turkey's economy and influence in the continent, while helping stabilize a country that's been suffering from war, poverty and terror for decades. Other nations have also helped Somalia in the past, but Turkey's interaction with Mogadishu has no colonial or Cold War baggage like many other countries. And ordinary Somalis can see that the Turkish presence is improving their lives.
We love Somalia. That's why we love Ömer Dolova as well. Dear Omar,
Thank you.
again, I want to thank you for joining us. And I want you to tell for our 900 million viewers across Africa in 40 countries, including Somalia, who Ömer Dolova is.
Omar Dolova is a Somalian migrant who migrated from Somalia 1988, then arrived in Australia and lived here in Australia over the last 31 years. I did my bachelor and my master in Australia. I work as a community development worker. Also, I run a program called Puntland Diaspora Forum, where I happen to be the chairman of that particular group. That particular group were supporting the Somalis wherever they are, particularly the state that they come from, which is the northwest of Somalia.
And you are in Australia for how many years now?
Over the last 31 years.
That's amazing. So, how did you end up in Australia? What take you to Australia? And what were the challenges you lived as you moved to Australia and built the community there? And I'm very curious about your story and your success story.
I left Somalia in 1984, January, and then went to Saudi Arabia. I stayed there for 4 years. I did not feel comfortable to live there, coming from a more liberal culture. Then I decided to go somewhere. On top of that, Somalia was not getting better. It was becoming more in war kind of situation. So I thought it's the right time to go somewhere else. Initially, I decided to go to India to study, because that was one of the conditions that my father put on me when I said I'm going to go to overseas, because he didn't want me to go to overseas. But he said, after I insisted that I have to go, at least I have to finish my study. So I went to India 1988. Coming from Saudi Arabia in 1988 to India was a big challenge. Almost everything was something that I could not handle. So I decided to go somewhere else. Initially, I got a ticket to New Zealand, but I broke my journey when I was actually in Sydney, Australia, as a transit. And that's where I broke my journey. And then from 1988, January, February that year, I ended up staying in Australia and up to now. And my life is now more or less Australian. And I'm glad that I'm here. I find Australia to be a very nice place. The people are very nice, very social, very welcoming. Less discrimination. The discrimination exists here and there, but compared to other parts of the world, Australia has more stable, more law and order, and I don't have any issue. I don't feel that I'm others, but I feel that I'm a member of the society. I'm nothing but Australian, and that's where I am now, and I'm happy to be here.
That's the beauty of not being discriminated. So, in a way, Australia is very similar to Turkey, because people are not categorized based on their race or ethnicity or religion, based on if they're paying their taxes. And there are also a very strong community building here in Turkey, in Ankara and Istanbul, and many places. Thousands of students in Turkey studying, and actually most recently the Minister of Justice was studied actually in Turkey and became a Minister of Justice in Somalia. And we feel Somalia as our brother and sister, and this is sincerely what we feel. And here at NTR, we are also partnering with Somalian Turkish TV under the leadership of Mr. Abdullah, who is an amazing leader who also served in the Somalian government before as a spokesperson as well as in the state. So from your standpoint, what you are doing here in Australia, and I want to see your view of the upcoming Somalian elections from Australia. How do you see the upcoming Somalian elections? What are your analysis? I'm very curious about your analysis, sir.
Brother, thank you very much for that comments in relation to the Somalians. I would like to start with, I would like to convey my condolences to those who lost their loved ones in Somalia. We really feel sorry for them. We understand how they feel about the loss, and I hope they will overcome that situation. And I believe they were supposed to be welcomed with flower, not with AK-47, and they were not supposed to be killed at all. So let me say that before I enter the rest of what I have to say. Rather, in relation to Somalia, yes, it's election time, but unfortunately we have got only 13 days to run the election. And as far as the people in the ground is concerned, whom I was talking to them a couple of minutes ago, there's nothing there. There's nothing ready at this moment. And only God knows what will happen from there, because the people, the public, as well as the opposition were expecting that the issue will be addressed by the current government, but nothing has been done at this stage. And I'm not quite sure where that will take Somalian people.
So do you see a peaceful transition? Do you see a good outcome in general? Because Somalia is a very important country at the Horn of Africa, and we see Al-Shabaab, attacks towards Turkish targets as well as our Somalian brothers and sisters. I will get into that, but despite all these attacks, do you feel that there will be a free and transparent election in Somalia?
That's what we were expecting, but there were few steps to be taken to come to that level. At this moment, nothing has happened. We have got 13 days to go, 12 days to go actually from my end, and there's nothing. All the conditions are not addressed. All the issues are not addressing. The concerns of the oppositions or those who are part of the program were not addressed by the current governments. They seem to be stuck in the power, and really the Somalis are sick and tired of war and disagreements and the kind of thing that brought the Somalians where they are today. But unfortunately, the current government are not taking the right process to run what the people want, what the oppositions want, what the international community want, including your country. And really, we don't want to waste the time, but unfortunately, the decision rests in the hand of the current government, and they don't seem to be moving towards that direction, unfortunately.
Yes. So, do you feel there might be a change in terms of the, new government or new elections? What is the expected outcome from your standpoint of this election? What do you think?
The Somalians are sick and tired of someone who is sitting there. Over the last almost 20 years, every 4 years there were one leader. And each leader left at the end of his term. And unfortunately, this gentleman, the current president of Somalia, Mr. Farmajo, Abdullah Farmajo, seemed to be not intending, he's not planning at all to run the election and let the people to decide who they want to be their president. He is so determined to come back, but the way he wants to come back is either me or otherwise. And that's what the Somalian people are concerned at the moment. The international community are there, including the Turkish government, Turkish policymakers, I assume, and all of them are expecting the program to move on and the election to be held, so the people will decide who they want to run over the next 4 years.
Of course, as NTR Broadcasting for Turkey, we have full respect to the interior affairs of our Somalian brothers and sisters. We only want peace, prosperity, and full democracy and peace in the region as well as in Somalia, and growth. Because when Turkey initially came, I have many Somalians who are telling me that Yavuz, we are actually defining the moment Recep Tayyip Erdogan touched down back in 2011 versus now. It's a totally different Somalia. So Somalia is in our heart. We only want peace and blessing for our brothers and sisters there. And I hope everything will happen in a peaceful and prosperous way with dignity and respect, regardless of who manages, who is the president in Somalia. Turkish people will continue to love Somalia, and we only have respect and love, and we only want Somalia to grow and also get rid of the Al-Shabaab and other external affairs, mitigations inside Somalia. And from elections, I want to move to Somalia-Turkey relations, dear Mr. Omar. From your perspective, how do you see this Somalian-Turkish relations? And is it where you want it to be, or do you think we should do more to enhance this relation? And how can we enhance it further?
I believe Turkish government led by Erdogan are doing very good in Somalia. I remember when he arrived in Somalia, 2011, it was him and member of his cabinet as well as his family. That time, apart from the civil wars, there were droughts, and that's what led him to arrive and come in Somalia to see the people personally. Since then, Turkish were differently approaching the Somali issue. They were there themselves rather than asking other agencies to do the job, pay money, and do this and do that, where some of the money might go somewhere that no one knows. But Turkish was different from the other countries. They came there by themselves. They did the job from cleaning to rehabilitating the infrastructure, the port, the airport, the roads, the banks, all these. They were there on a personal level doing whatever they can do to help the Somalian people. So Somalian people see India as their brothers and sisters. Anyone you ask, that's why, brother, now as we speak, there are thousands and thousands of Somalians studying in Turkish universities, paying money and feeling homey. They feel that they are part of the society. They go to the masjid, they pray, they eat, they go in Ramadan, and they feel that it is their home. It's not a foreign country, but rather their home.
That is correct.
Despite the fact that many times they were attacked by this hopeless, useless human being who just feel happy to kill the people, that didn't change the mind of the Turkish people. They are still there. They're doing a very good job. The only thing that I would like to suggest to Turkish government, especially the policymakers, is to not only to stay in the capital, but to move the other parts of Somalia, the other states, particularly the stable states like Puntland and Somaliland, and run the same programs that they're running there. These areas are stable, they are quiet, relatively peaceful compared to the rest of Somalia, and I think they have to sort of expand their programs and projects, not only to stay in the capital is the Somali capital, but also the country states. And I think it is good for Turkey people to also see and help and support the other parties of the country, the other people, the other governments that exist. There are full states that are operational, doing their jobs well, looking after their people, and maintaining the stability and the peace of the regions that they control. So Turkey have to move from centralized system where they stay in the capital and move to the other part of Somalia to be seen that they are there for all, not only the government seat and supporting the government. There's one other thing that I would like to raise to you. As you are aware, Turkish government has trained military arms. They also supplied arms. I would like Turkish government to follow up and make sure that this men and this military supply is not used to suppress the public, the people that were supposed to be supported by the Turkish. They will feel differently if the army supplied by the Turkish are used against the people. It didn't happen so far as I know, but there must be some rulings, some instruction from Turkish government to make sure that the job they done will not impact the people negatively.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, mostly Turkish support is on a technical level and training and giving also technical direction and more training and education, both in Turkey as well as in Somalia for the security forces. So not only investment in business, not only education, culture, building infrastructure, port, airport, and healthcare like Recep Tayyip Erdogan Hospital. But security is also important. But the idea is to fight against Al-Shabaab, which is actually creating havoc, creating disaster within the region. That is the idea of Turkish government support. So the Somalian brothers and sisters can feel and live freely inside their country. That is really the only intention, as far as I know. Of course, I'm not a security expert. But, from there, I want to move to media. Here you are now at NTR television, broadcasting to 900 million viewers across Africa in 40 countries. And you are now being watched not only from 2 satellites, with Asra 2G and Turksat, but also through OTT with our communication and joint venture with our Somalian brothers with the leadership of Mr. Abdullah Mohammed. We now have also Somalian Turkish TV. So you are also being watched around the world through the cable and OTT with Somalian Turkish TV. So my point is, what do you think about the Turkey's media collaboration in Africa and Somalia with NTR and especially with SOMTR, which is known as Somalian Turkish TV?
Brother, I really welcome this, not only on a personal level, but I believe it will have an international impact. One of the areas, when I was very young, I always wanted to see media that represent the third world countries that are international level. You cannot imagine how I was delighted when Al Jazeera come over and started operating all over the world. Now, for you to join the NTR, to join that effort will be useful, and it will give voice to a people who don't have voice for the time being. In the world, media is dominated by the West, and always they got their own agenda and their own plan and their own ways to address. It doesn't mean that they are hopeless. They are not. They are very effective and they are very useful, and they supply or provide the kind of information that the people need. But also we need someone who is a member of the third world countries who can understand their situation and interpret their issues, their problems, their success, and their failure, and give those who have no voice a voice to speak and convey their feeling to the rest of the world.
Thank you. I mean, there are so many brave businessmen and people in Somalia and in Turkey who wants to enhance this relationship. building bridges, cultural as well as economic, and further the ties. That's why Mr. Abdullah Muhammad and his amazing team, which I'm also honored to be part of, decided to build Somalian Turkish TV. And our only vision is to really enhance these relationships and really build it even across Australia and around the world. Because through Somalian Turkish TV connections, we can even be watched in Canada and United States as well as in Europe. Because we are going also through a separate channel, and we will do further work to enhance our outreach to all the Somalian communities around the world, including Australia, inshallah, maybe with your support and with your leadership, who knows.
That's very good, brother, and it's very, very important. And I know Abdullah, he's been very active in Somalia, particularly Puntland state of Somalia, and he was there to actually inform and let the people know their rights and also represented them in terms of information and all the things that they need. And I am hopeful and I'm confident that he will do exactly the same that he was doing in Somalia, particularly Puntland, and play a more international role rather than regional or state level. So good luck for him and thanks for his efforts. And also thank you for giving him the opportunity to come forward and support him to do what he is able to do. And I'm sure he will be successful and will make a contribution to your programs.
Absolutely. He is already heading in a wonderful way with Fatma and his amazing team, building really good quality programs. So we are wide open to all the also content from Australia because it's a global village, you know. We are welcoming everyone, also our brothers and sisters in Somalia, within the Somalian community in Australia, to welcome. This is your television, Somalia Turkish TV. It is really yours. So we appreciate your support.
Yeah. Thank you, brother. And I hope for Turkey to succeed. It is at Fanjar to become an international member effectively and very usefully. I hope all the best for everyone in Turkey. Whenever something happened to Turkish men in Somalia, I feel that my brother and my sisters are killed. I don't feel that they are Turkish, but my brothers and my sisters. And I cry with those people who are impacted personally by this death and destruction that happened to members of the men who came there only to support, only to help, only to rehabilitate the people who need their help. Those who are killing those kind of people are not human beings. I cannot call them human beings. They are not. And Allah will give them what they deserve one day. Whether I don't know whether it will be soon or later, but definitely they will pay the price of what they did to those who are supporting their weak people. Their people who desperate. Imagine the people who are killed because they were building road.
Absolutely.
What kind of religion do they have?
I hear you.
It's the responsibility of every Muslim to do that. If the locals fail to do that because they don't have the means to do it, those who came there, travel all the way from the other parts of the world to do this kind of action against them, it's just savage. It's not something that I can accept it.
Sure. So from media and all these points that you're raising, I want to move to the Somalia itself. There is a reality. Somalia is a growing power at the Horn of Africa, and Somalia is much bigger than Somalia. With the neighborhood countries, most of them are also originated from Somalia. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. Somalia used to be always strategic. It was always important for the international community. It controls actually, or at least harbor the sea route. All those goods coming from Middle East, whether it's oil or other products, go through Somalia. So the stability of Somali territory is very important for the international community, whether they are Turkish or otherwise, particularly Europe, who use that sea route. And as a result, sometimes as a result of being important strategically, actually harm and hurt Somalians politically, socially, and economically. because sometimes there is a competition against the powers. If you remember, during the Cold War, the Russians were there, the Americans were there, and one of the reasons why Somalis never mature enough is because always there's someone there who's supporting the person that should not be supported for political reasons, for strategic reasons, for economic reasons. And that's what's actually holding Somalia back and putting in the position that they are always. Somalia is very important for the international community, but that importance is sometimes hurting and harming them socially, politically, and economically.
Yes. That's why we believe in African solutions for African problems, Somalian solutions for Somalian problems. It has to be coming from the people itself. Our job is to support from our bottom of heart wherever it is needed. And we have full respect, and we are, the Somalians I met, all of them are very sincere people, very honest, very hardworking, mashallah, and really trying to create solutions rather than creating problems, trying to find solutions, also in Turkey. So we have so much respect and love for all of them, and they are, marrying, Turkish people, Somalian Turkish. So it's a building community around the world. And Somalia is really a rising strategic, economic, and military, like you said, from the history, having a very long shore in a very strategic location. But like you said, being very important also hinders, and many people who are not there to support are trying to create problems like Al-Shabaab. And as you know, recently we had attacks around the coast of Nigeria, and also recently in Somalia we had, unfortunately, some engineers who have been shaheed, who have been passed away with the Al-Shabaab horrible attack. May Allah keep their peace in their soul in peace and give them Jannah. So in this last 4 minutes, who do you think are behind these attacks, and what are they trying to do with using Al-Shabaab as a tool inside Somalia and targeting Turkish people as well as Somalian infrastructure?
Brother, there are so many gossips and hearsay and all these. I don't want to refer those kind of unofficial evidences.
Sure.
But many people are saying many things. Sometimes they criticize Arabs, sometimes they criticize Americans, sometimes they criticize others without any evidence.
Yes.
So to criticize people and put the blame on them when you don't have any evidence is useless. If I have to blame someone, I would blame the Somalis and their Islamic teaching, which is wrong. There's no Islamic teaching that asks the people to go out and kill innocent people, let alone those who are feeding them, those who are helping them, those who are building their life. We don't need to go out and find another person to justify the problem. I believe it is not only that we are victim, but our religion is also victim, because the religion has been misused and abused by a people who has no knowledge to represent the religion that they're claiming to be representing. They are there for their own needs. As we speak today, according to many reports, they're collecting more money than the government in Mogadishu is collecting from the business organizations. So they are there for their own envy and their own interest. And I think it is just baseless or irrelevant to go out and find someone to put the blame on them. If someone has to be blamed, Somalians should be blamed, because they are the one who has got the gun. They are the one who's buying the weapon from almost wherever they can find. They are the one who are killing their brothers and sisters. They are the one who's, doing anything that's not acceptable in any language, in any religion, in any way of culture. So I wouldn't waste my time to find someone to put the blame on their shoulders but rather I have to blame my brothers and my sisters who are contributing this death and destruction happening in Somalia, not only to the Somalians, but even those who came there to help the Somalian people.
Yes, sir. So we all know Islam is the religion of peace, and Islam means peace, coming from the Salam root. So we know that these Al-Shabaab goal is to actually hurt Islam, and they will never succeed. And I appreciate, the hard work all of our brothers and sisters doing inside Somalia to actually educate and train and tell the beauty of Islam, rather than these terrorists actually fighting and killing only Muslims for whatever reason, so in the name of whatever. So they will never succeed, inshallah. And we, united all together, we will bring the beauty of peace and prosperity around the world. In this last 1 minute, may I take your last messages for our viewers? We will close in 1 minute, dear Mr. Omar.
I will first thank you for your efforts to make this meeting possible, but also I would, if I have to say one sentence, I would like the people to respect each other, to understand each other, to live together in peace, and maintain the peace wherever they are, whether they are in Africa, Somalia, anywhere in Middle East or the rest of the world, whether it's America or anywhere else, or Australia for that matter. The people respect us. The people give us, especially the non-Somalians, the white people particularly. When we came here, we were just travelers. We were given life, and I always feel sorry, like the way I'm feeling for the Turkish people. I feel sorry when I see that the people are showing some kind of hate against the same people who are supporting them. That's happening in Somalia, it's happening here, but they are the minority. But unfortunately, always the minority are heard, not the majority, because what they're doing is silly and unacceptable. And sometimes they represent us, and we are seen to be the same boat, in the same boat, and that is very unfortunate. So I would like also the rest of the world, particularly all the Western countries, to change their attitude towards what's called terrorism. Terrorism is a few people, minimal people, who are taking the wrong, who are misguided and misled. Actually, these people that we're talking about need help to be rehabilitated psychologically and medically, let alone to blame them.
Thank you. Omar Dolova, well, it was a pleasure. Take care and all the best. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Nice to-
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm really excited and thrilled that you were in this show listening to Omar Dolova. So I want to thank you again. Stay tuned to NTRT with News Plus. This is your anchorman, Yavuz Selim Sulay, physician, entrepreneur, and venture architect. We are continuing every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Turkish time, live, continuing this amazing shows with amazing leaders. Stay tuned to NTR. Take care and all the best. Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to News Plus, one of the top viewed news analysis show across Africa. Today, we have a very important topic and a wonderful person who is one of the top business experts for Mozambique and Rwanda. I have Erhan Barutoglu, who is an amazing gentleman. He is a Turkey-Rwanda Business Council chairman. Erhan, welcome to News Plus.
Thank you very much, Yavuz.
Honored to have you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here today.
Thank you, Erhan. So, ladies and gentlemen, our colleagues at TRT World actually prepared one of the important things, what happened in Rwanda after the 25-year anniversary. So we'll watch this quickly, and then from what happened in Rwanda, we'll move to business, all about Africa and Mozambique, and also the opportunities for growth together. Let's check the video, shall we?
À tous les Guinéens qui nous écoutent, oui, à tous les Guinéens qui nous écoutent, le Rwanda appartient à ceux qui le défendent vraiment. Et vous, les Guinéens, vous n'êtes pas des Rwandais.
What you're hearing over here is the radio that Rwandans will hear on a daily basis. the term cockroach was used to dehumanize the Tutsis, and the radio was the Hutu government's biggest tool to incite hate.
I'm Mujahid Durmas, and I'm here in Kigali on the 25th anniversary of the Rwandan genocide. We will speak to the people and find out how European colonizers created the foundation for one of the worst atrocities in the history of mankind that took place right here in Rwanda.
When Rwanda fell into the hands of Belgium after the First World War, they deliberately instrumentalized ethnicity to strengthen their hand and gain total control over the country. Tension and division was created among the majority Hutus and Tutsi minorities. As part of Belgium's divide and rule strategy, they adopted policies based on a play of power. First, they supported the Tutsi monarchy and assigned local chiefs to be Tutsis. But after the country gained its independence, the Hutus were given prominent roles within the government. The Belgian rule also forced locals to identify themselves by the tribes that they belonged to, and they distinguished the population by their physical features, the shape of their nose, the size of their eyes, and height. The growing hate created between the two sides led to the next 30 years to pass amid violence and bloodshed, causing a massive flow of refugees into neighboring countries. By the mid-1960s, thousands were killed, and more than half of the Tutsi population was said to have fled Rwanda, while the Hutus continued to consolidate power. Meanwhile, the other formal colonial powers also began exercising influence in the country, specifically France.
So let's just stop for a moment to understand what was going on in post-colonial Rwanda. The Belgian colonization of the country created a socio-political elite who spoke French and adopted French culture. Taking advantage of this, France became a dominant power within the country. Meanwhile, the Tutsi refugees in Uganda embraced the English language and culture. This is why the Hutu-led government considered Tutsis as an Anglophone threat to their Francophone rule, and they heavily relied on the French support to guarantee their sovereignty.
The ongoing discrimination against the Tutsi refugees pushed them to establish the Rwandan Patriotic Front. And in 1990, under the leadership of Paul Kagame, they entered Rwanda. Threatened by the presence of RPF, the French-backed Rwandan government desperately called for help. In response, France sent troops on a short-term humanitarian mission, but they ended up staying there for 3 long years. France trained and equipped the Rwandan government army. It was the same army that will be the vanguard in the genocidal campaign against the Tutsis.
So the first, not did they supply the arms only, but they came physically to Rwanda. The Belgians came physically to Rwanda, and they went to the war field.
On April 6, 1994, the Hutu president Juvenal Habyarimana was assassinated when his plane was shot down with surface-to-air missiles.
This is when the brutal killings of innocent civilians began. Just imagine, around 2,000 people were killed in this church alone.
At a time when international support was needed more than ever, the Belgian-backed UN peacekeeping mission, established to prevent civil war, reduced their foothold by almost 90% to just 270 men. Humanitarian agencies estimate that around 100,000 people were killed throughout Rwanda just in the first 2 weeks. 3 months into the genocide, French government announced Operation Turquoise. The aim was to establish a safe zone to help rescue civilians, but witnesses say the French mission failed.
So this is Bisesera in western Rwanda, where the controversial Operation Turquoise was held by France. More than 50,000 people were killed here under the watch of French troops.
Instead of protecting the people who are being killed, who are the Tutsis, they came and protected the government which was in place, and they came and protected the Interahamwe militias who are killing the people.
rero tumaze kubasobanurira baratubwiye bati nibyo koko tuje kubatabara ariko ntitwiteguye. Naratubwiye ngo dukomeze twihishe nk'uko twihishaga.
Muri iyo minsi 3 rero niho interahamwe zakajije umurego zica abagore n'abana ku musozi Kagari.
Ikindi cyagaragaraga nuko abasirikari bo muri leta y'abatabazi bahungaga baciye muri zone turukwaze na hano mu Bisesero barabarekaga bagatambuka kandi bazi ibyo bakoze muri jenoside.
The failure to protect the Tutsis from genocide not only played out on the ground in Rwanda, but also at the UN headquarters, where several cables were ignored. An example of this can be seen in the cable sent by General Romeo Dallaire, who led the UN peacekeeping mission at the time. Aggressive actions have been taken against the particular ethnic groups, against the general civilian population, and against UNAMIR, which has resulted in fatal and non-fatal casualties.
If we sent it to the security community, I mean to the Security Council of the UN, this means the big five knew it. All of them knew that something bad may happen in Rwanda, but they were busy.
Representatives of the Western world will once again come here to Kigali on the 25th anniversary of the Rwandan genocide. With roses in their hands, they will pay tribute to the hundreds of thousands of innocent lives that lost just in 100 days. I cannot help but wonder, will the world leaders accept that their failures to act quickly and decisively could have saved the lives of Rwandans?
Ladies and gentlemen, I really shared this in the beginning to really understand and give our thoughts and prayers to all the lives that perished in Rwanda. And from here, instead of talking about divisions and bloodshed, we want to talk about peace, prosperity, and business, and the understanding of the world bigger than five. That's why I have one of the top business diplomats, my dear colleague and friend, Erhan Barutoglu, who is the Turkey-Rwanda Business Council Chairman. Erhan, welcome again.
Thank you very much. Pleasure.
Thank you so much. I know it was a very long movie, but I wanted to reflect to what happened in Rwanda, and from there talk on a positive agenda,
Sure,
because you are actually one of the pioneers in building positive agenda.
Thank you very
back
much.
in Mozambique and now also both in
Thank
Mozambique
you.
and Rwanda. That's why your role is extremely important.
Thank you very much.
And for our 900 million viewers, I know you very well, but for our viewers, do you mind telling a little bit about who Erhan Barutoglu is?
Yeah, well, just I don't want to elaborate on the my background, but just to give you a little bit information.
Please.
That I've been graduated from Middle East Technical University as civil engineer, and right after that, it took about 2.5 years that I had the master's degree. Then I flew to Switzerland in Zurich, and I stayed there for nearly 3 years, and I worked in well-known company and the energy. And then I get back to Turkey and got, let's say, an executive business administration program degree in Boğaziçi University.
That's one of the top universities in Turkey. Congratulations.
And thank you very much. And after that, I just worked in various companies in the contracting business, energy, and industries and trading. And now, because of the pandemic, I didn't stop, so it just motivated me to complete some of the programs in leading well-known universities in the United States, and from online distant, let's say, education thing. And after that, I'm just working as a top management senior executive in the companies. My company I'm from 2019. I'm the board member of TG Energia Limitada. I'm just saying the Portuguese version of it, and because it's established in Mozambique just before the pandemic occurred.
That's great, congratulations.
And thank you. And also the board advisor of this very well-known Turkish contractor company, Telloğlu Group. And they're just the EPC contractors and the transmission lines and substations. And so I've been traveling to Africa for the last 17 years.
You actually lived in Africa as well, right?
I lived in Mozambique a little bit time. And but it's a great continent for me, the mother Africa.
Of course.
Yeah, so this is that I can tell you very quickly and very short, because we have, I think, a limited time.
Well, we will host you again and again because you have a really impressive background, and we're honored to have you in your busy schedule.
Thank you.
Dear Erhan, just for our viewers, can you tell a little bit about your mission and vision as DAIC Rwanda, and when you look at it as a it's a very important council, and you are actually a business diplomat, and you're doing a volunteer work, which is also an honorable work, and representing and really building bridges between Turkey, Rwanda, and Mozambique, which is really exciting. So for our viewers, can you tell what your mission and vision is as DAIC?
Yeah, well, DAIC is a Foreign Economic Relations Board, in short we're saying as DAIC. And this is the unique organization, and it's a private sector institution assigned to organize and manage the foreign economic relations of Turkish private sector, in particular with respect to the foreign trade, international investment, services, contracting, logistics, and etc., and also to attract investment to Turkey and to invest in the other countries abroad. And in 2014, DAIC was restructured and to become a business diplomacy organization, and having 97 founding members, founding associations, which is covering majority of the business people and the companies in Turkey. And it has 146 business councils, and which you can 139 is the bilateral country business councils, and the other ones are just sectoral ones, and then 2 special purpose business councils. And we are, with the individual members of over 2,000 people, we are trying to be a bridge, as you said, between Africa and Turkey and the other countries, other continents also. I'm representing Turkey Rwanda Business Council chairman. I'm also acting as the vice chairman of Turkey Mozambique Business Councils after my 3 terms of chairmanship. And we are not only building a bridge between the countries in Africa through counterparts in each country, but also we are building relations and strengthening relations between the regional communities like ECOWAS and African Union, covering all Africa, and etc. And so we are working as a volunteer base. And at least you can say that we have the boards in Turkey Rwanda Business Council or the other ones, at least 10 people. And the 10 people from our side and the 10 people from the counterpart side assigned for the contribution to the bilateral relations, it means that we're working as almost 3,000 volunteers to strengthen the bilateral relations.
That's amazing. I mean, the role that you're playing as a team and within the DAIC is really exciting. And from here, I want to move to the meaning of Africa from a strategic and economic standpoint for DAIC. What would you say about that?
The Africa is very much important. So as we have 45 business councils, this is the biggest number of business councils with the counterparts that we have in African continent. But the Africa is very much important because it's the oldest continent in a way, and it's the second largest in the world, and also the second most populous continent in the world. And then when you just compare with the other continents and the other countries in the other continents, that you can see that Africa needs everything. I mean, you name it. You can. They need everything. So that's why that we are very much keen on and concentrating on building and strengthening our bilateral relations with Africa and African continents. So for that reason, we have a coordinated Turkey Africa Business Councils, and in that, with this motivation. With the people and with the companies who wants to booster the business together with the African partners, and to let's say have a leading joint investments. We are really very much concentrating on the relations with Africa. And what I'm going to tell you is that we're not away from the Africa as Turks. Starting from the 12th centuries, that a Turkish originated, you name it, some people, and Tulunol or the Tulunoids were there. And after that, with the Fatimi in Egypt, Fatimi dynasty time, the Mamluks were just horse riding soldiers. And right after that, we had let's say, one of our famous captain in the East Africa, in the Indian Ocean, really fought back to colonial powers in the 15th century. And right after that, in the 16th century, we were in North Africa, but never been like the others in the Western. And we embrace the people there, and they love us, and we love them. We are still loving them. And another important point that I would like to touch is that after the Berlin Conference at the end of the 19th century, where there was very much strict on the colonial borders and let's say colonial powers, just to have the strength in the African countries. During that, right after that, even 20 or 30 years later, that the young African students studying at the universities read a lot of independence, freedom, etc. After the World War I, and they just were amazed, let's say inspired about the Turkish War of Independence and the great leadership of Atatürk. Absolutely. So we are still having these young generation at that time, and starting from the independence declarations, inspired, yes, and they just had starting from 1950s, 1960s. They declared their independence from the colonials, but at that time, these young students were the leaders at these, let's say, revolutions in their country. So we're following all these things, and now we are really close to Africa, and this makes us increase our empathy. Absolutely. Also with Turks and Africans. So we love each other in a way.
That's amazing. I mean, I can see that your smile is coming from your heart and sincerely. Yeah. I can see the love coming, and you're, really glooming with that love. So from here, I want to move more into, you are a key person. When I look at, about Mozambique and Rwanda, what you have done over the years, you are a key business leader that is building bridge. What does really Mozambique and Rwanda mean for you in your heart, Erhan?
Well, I mean, it's like Mozambique and Rwanda, the places that I'm just, let's say, voluntarily working to strengthen the bilateral relations under the DAIC umbrella. But in the meantime, when I start to travel to Africa, starting from 2004, when I landed it was the first time I was in Sudan, and Egypt to Sudan. And then I start to love the African people. I don't know, somebody says that when you touch the red soil, you never
there's no going back.
Yeah,
basically.
something
You're
like
there,
that. So
yeah.
I just continue to travel. But I'm also reading about the history of Africa, starting from before Christ, 60,000, 70,000, where we just Homo sapiens came out from Africa, and etc. From there, about the civilizations in Zimbabwe, and then Metupa, and etc. etc. But all the countries are very important. So it's a continent with multicolored, multi-dynamics, multicultural countries and the people. So it's a multicolored continent in a way.
A real diversity.
Yeah, diversity, right? And also just multicolor. So in order to understand them, you're getting closer to the countries and to the people. And I can say that I love Mozambique, I love Rwanda, I love Namibia, I don't know, just South Africa, and the South Africans, I have a lot of friends, etc. But in the meantime, these are unique places that I would like to emphasize this once more, because the Mozambique has a history.
Yes.
And coming from, 12th centuries, the Sofala is where they just got to trading goods, and that they took it to Swahili.
Yes.
And the Indian Ocean, it's very important. And also the Mozambique now is very important because they are just hosting about $100 billion of investment to offshore gas exploration, 200 TCF.
It's one of a kind in Africa.
Yeah, it's a first. Yeah, it's the first one. It's such kind of a big investment, attracting such kind of big interest in investment, and Mozambique really having the flag at the moment, and also they will be, if they're commercialized and if the projects are completed, and etc. And then they're going to be the fourth or fifth largest or biggest LNG exporter in the world. So this is one side why unique. And the people are unique, I said the multicultural, and etc. But at the same time, Rwanda is very unique. From the unique point of view is that what we have watched here, and that they are unique because you're thinking, how can this determined minds just come a peace and really put their hands under the stone? We say it in Turkish, or elsewhere we're saying the same thing. And they just made the country one of the fastest growing economies in Africa, Rwanda. And they just did it all together. It's a very innovative generation is coming from Rwanda.
A truly entrepreneurial spirit, I can see.
Yeah, you can see it. And then when the pandemic started, they just created some kind of devices for the pandemic and some machineries and etc. They just did it by their own means. So that's why the Rwanda is important. And then it's like a symbol of a peace, symbol of a hope, and then they're looking to the future. So that's why that these two countries are important. But I cannot say that the other countries. Of course, the South Africa, very old and industrialized the country, and Ghana, as they started, very interesting history, and Senegal, and so you cannot really say that this country is better, that country is better. But the African continent as a whole is a really a very interesting and then also a very appealing continent. And in the meantime, from the business-wise, that everybody has everything in the world and the other the continents. Yes. I mean, not I can say everything, but the most of the things that they need. But Africa, if they want to grow, they need everything.
I see. They
need everything. I mean, just they need assistance. They need infrastructure, particularly after pandemic. Yes. So that's why that business-wise, the African continent, being the second largest populous continent in the world, needs everything.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So it's wide open for business.
Yeah.
Which is very exciting.
Exciting. They just attract the investments. During this pandemic, it's a little bit seized temporarily, but we just continue our communication with the business people, and there are a lot of exports going on from our side there.
That's good
and
news.
There are some imports, although affected because of the logistics and because of some other means, that border closures and the curfews and etc. But at the same time that we're moving ahead, look to the future.
That's beautiful. I mean, supply chain management will always be a growing issue until we get over the pandemic, regardless of wherever you are in the world. So, but to your point, continuity is important. So you managed to continue that business flow, which is really exciting.
We are trying at the moment. Just we're looking forward this COVID disappears, and soon with the nice vaccines and etc. So let's looking forward to the future, what we can do. But we are now more digitalized in a way.
From your standpoint, back in 2005, Turkey announced the Africa year, and from that point where Recep Tayyip Erdogan made that announcement, and that was in preparation back in 1998 actually, and we are looking at a really, recoming of Turkish business, Turkish entrepreneurs, Turkish, NGOs, Turkish Airlines, Mario Foundation, Yunus Emre Institute, many of the different, soft power, so to call, as well as assistance, opportunities. And I want to understand, what is Turkish strategy? And from 2005, when that announcement made, till now, do you see that we're reaching our goals, or do you see a better future? I'm really curious about your view, since you lived in Mozambique, and you have been dealing with both Mozambique and Rwanda for such a long time.
Yeah. Well, in fact, starting from 2003, in fact, there are some figures that I remember.
Excellent.
Because I don't want to remember a lot of figures. The viewers can go inside and just look to the websites and try, the Googling. and but really a big jump. And why I'm saying this, and when we started in 2003, it was around $3.8 billion, something like that, at a bilateral trade volume with the African continent in general. But now, last year, if I'm not wrong, it's slightly over $25 billion.
That is correct.
Which is very closer to $26 billion. And when you look to the figures, I mean, the main figures that I can give you is the Turkish contract is very well known worldwide.
Yes.
And
very high
really
quality,
good ones,
very high
quality and optimized pricing. And when you look to the figures, that the total volume of projects that we have realized in the African continent reached almost to $70 billion.
Awesome.
70 billion
Wow.
dollars. And
I didn't know that.
The
That's huge
investment,
number.
investment. I mean, just in North Africa. Think about Libya and
hear you.
so the
Of
amount.
course.
Yeah,
You're right.
And also the investment in total in the African continent reached around, I think, 6.5 or $6.5 billion up to now. And the most important thing for the African countries, of course, this is the unemployment.
Yes.
This is the very much a crucial thing.
Yes.
And for example, the Turkish investments recruited and employed about 80,000 people. So just to multiply with 4 or 5, so it gets us 400,000 people. So this is. I think what we come from 2003, if we just really refer to the figures. But in the last 10 years that I dominated in the biggest projects, the biggest investments, they are concentrated in Ethiopia and in Tanzania, and now with the trigger of this projects in Mozambique, that where our Turkish contractors are really involved in this. So we will be, the third one will be Mozambique. I'm just saying that the North Africa is leading always. But in the meantime, for sub-Saharan Africa, that these are the countries that will be
emerging
countries. But I'm just checking these things
please.
if I'm making anything wrong about the figures.
Sure.
That's all.
At the end, when you look at it, the idea is to really build bridges. And one of the ways to build bridges is also media and TV, What do you think for Africans media and TV means?
Well, I mean, it's very important that I can tell you because I'm just some contacts in the media in South Africa and also some other reporters and etc. Particularly in the Western Africa. It's a really a bridge, and the importance of this media and also the apps etc. as a communication means in general is increased during this pandemic times. Let me just, I would like to tell you something about that. When I was in the first time, and not first time, but several times later, that I realized that in Africa, there are some money transfer through SIM cards.
Wow, through the phone.
Yeah, through the phone. I never thought about it because we had everything. I mean, just we have in here from the banks, accounts, transfer, and Western Unions. But I was amazed about the SIM card operators are just transferring money to the accounts of the other people. The accounts mean that do not have a bank account. So I said, okay, I mean, this is the African solution to an African problem. So this is like a motto for me.
African solution to African problem.
Yeah, always you have to seek for African solutions to African problems. That's very important, and that's why that the communication, when you think about, for example, let's say I'm just the end, the Cape, and when you go just 8,000 kilometers from Turkey, or you can think of China, Beijing or Shanghai, and then you just have a very much distance, but you're communicating in seconds, and then the most important thing is just making business or to get closer is the trust.
Absolutely.
In order to trust, that you have to know. And in order to know, you have to have maximum data transfer, maximum information transfer. So with this communication means you're just knowing the people.
Exactly.
And then you're just trying to understanding their lifestyle. You like, you don't like, whatever. So at the end of the day, you're making much more closer. So the media plays a very much important role, especially in the last 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
and for the Turkish side, I'm talking about,
course.
and they enormous contribution to the relations. The Turkish series, what they say that soap operas, but I don't know whether it's
pretty
soap opera or
popular,
not. It's very popular for 5 years, which brings an insight among the people, and they are just really curious about how is Turkey, and then because of the series that I watched in Bosphorus, so they want to come here.
Yes.
They want to travel here.
Iran, we have 600,000 African students in Turkey.
Yeah, that's an important thing.
Just the students.
That's important thing that I'll touch also. And so when you think about these, they want to come, they want to interact, and they want to and when they see, they are not prejudicial. They're not approaching prejudicial because they know now the Turks, because they recognize Turks. When somebody comes in any African country and says that I'm Turkish, yeah, I know, yeah, Turkey. That's some kind of series name, and so it's making the people binding to each other in a way. That's why that media and TV plays a very much important role in the relations, also in Africa. I know some people from the media and very top people in South Africa. So I see also, and I watch because I look to the details so much, and then I see and watch and observe, and they're going very well, especially from the media side. And the important thing is the cellular phones, mobile phones, and the applications inside.
It's an age of digitalization.
Yeah,
like
and
said,
some apps in Africa that they are making a big trading over that app.
Everybody downloads those apps.
So you're just having the photos or just selfies and etc. But they're using it for trading.
That's unbelievable.
So it's
African solution to African problem, right?
But you have to go for it.
Okay.
You're never just to have your own solution. You have to go and seek for African solution to an African problem.
That's why at NTR TV we have many African broadcasters from Nigeria, from Ghana, from all around the world. So from here, I want to move, this television, NTR TV, is broadcasting to Africa as the first and only Turkish television over the last 3 years, and we're working very closely with Turkish Radio Television World, TRT World. We are a modest TV channel, but we're growing now, similar to the Turkish business. So the media is also growing on the NTR side. We are now also working on some radio channels, including South Africa, Ghana, as well as other areas. So because radio is also important in the life of Africans, not just television. And we are also bringing Turkish series with our agreements with TRT World, and cartoons like Keloğlan.
Sure, something like that.
And, I'm very curious, how do you analyze the NTR, which is a general broadcasting media company, and our work to build bridges for Africa.
So you're just answering the question with
your
these
view
words.
is important. That's our mission. That's our mission.
These type of things always needed because of the market needs. I mean, there is, as you said, that you are concentrated on the African continent and African countries. So it's a very important thing from the Turkish side. You are making a great contribution to the relations by giving news, by giving insights, we talk here, just like I cannot say talk show, but I mean, so we are adding value to the relations of African continent, the countries, and Turkey. So that's great. What I can tell you, I'm just a great thing, and I just wish you success, then I hope that you'll be a little bit bigger.
Hopefully.
And but don't forget that you have to think about some apps.
Absolutely.
Mobile phone apps about NTR TV and etc. Then it's much more easy to reach to majority of Africans. Well, if they have a Wi-Fi, or if they have some connection so that they can watch with the phone, they should not go to, let's say, a computer and etc. So it's the thing that I can humbly...
No, I appreciate that. I mean, we are on internet as well, even though we are through Luxembourg. But app is very important. For the Turkish Somalian TV, we actually have followed that track. And it's called OTT, through the boxes, not just through the satellites. So we are following that track thanks to your recommendation.
This is humble thing
in Somalia. But from there, as DAIC Rwanda and DAIC Mozambique, you're the chairman of DAIC Rwanda and vice chairman of DAIC Mozambique, and you have been for 3 terms the chairman of DAIC Mozambique. What are your plans? I mean, we are in a pandemic, even though we have all those challenges. I think you're still continuing your work online and digitally, and you have done so much on the ground. I want to learn more from you, what you have done in Mozambique and what you have plans to do in Mozambique and Rwanda.
In Mozambique, I just became the founding chairman in 2015. Right after that, as you said,
founding, that's very important.
The founding means that I started this
that's amazing.
Business Council, thanks to the DAIC and thanks to the ambassador. And so right after that, I just continued for about 3 terms and in the chairmanship. And I was traveling, as I said before, or you just touched. I was traveling very much to Mozambique, almost every 2 months, maybe sometimes 3 months. And that's why that I had the opportunity to contact many people and to promote relations and to promote Turkish companies, to promote DAIC.
Awesome.
And so that's why that I contacted from top to bottom to everywhere, and etc. So it was a really efficient type of, let's say, a chairmanship together with the board.
I've seen many meetings you have conducted successfully on the internet.
Much.
I mean,
really?
I also watched.
Thank you very much.
So
and,
you do have a proven track, I can tell you.
Thank you. And starting from 2018 to 2020, I was the vice coordinator chairman of Turkey Africa Business Councils. And with these 2 things, that of course that we had a lot of work to do at that time. And then attending to meetings, events, and together with the DAIC team is a very dedicated team, by the way.
Yes.
And they are just hardworking people. So we just worked together, and then we made many activities. And for example, in 2017, His Excellency President Erdogan was in Mozambique.
Yes.
And the president of Mozambique attended, so we had held a business forum, and there are a lot of ministers just attended. A business delegation were together with the president. So I also joined some of the business delegations going to West Africa and the other parts of Africa together with the president and the business delegations. So we just worked hard in order to embrace Africans and then to have more relations, more bilateral trade volumes.
That's amazing.
Very much. And one of the things that, for example, we did also with the great support of the current chairman of Turkey Mozambique Business Council, and we just issued the first of its kind in Turkey. How to make business in Mozambique. It's a 130-page hard copy, and also on PDF that when you enter to the website of DAIC that you can see from the and it is the first of a kind that you can find every detail if you want to make
business. It's like a guideline for the guideline.
Yes, it's a guideline. It's a guideline that you can find everything inside regarding the business and how to make business in Mozambique, to establish a company and taxes and you name it. Every detail was inside. And together with the board also we just realized this. When we come to Rwanda, and we came as a chairmanship and also together with the board, and we are appointed and elected in a way, and in January 2020. And we planned our activities and we had the board meeting and what we have to do in the future, what are our plans next. And so we planned our activities first to have meetings with ambassadors. Beautiful. And to have a let's say business delegation that we can travel to Rwanda and to hold some kind of business forum there. And but right after that there was some kind of news was arising. And then there is COVID, Corona, etc., etc. And during that time, there was 30 business people planned to come to Turkey. And so we said that, okay, it's a good opportunity for us that we can have this business forum here in Turkey, in Istanbul. I think it was in the beginning of March or maybe
Yes, right before the
half,
pandemic,
February. But right after that, of course, I mean, they were obliged to cancel their arrival. So we said what we can do. And then we said that, okay, we have to turn to new normal. And then what we can do, what we have planned, let's try to do it through a digitalized word. I mean, word and the mechanism. So we started with the webinars, we started with the meetings online and with the ambassadors, with the counterparts, and also with the minister or vice ministers from the other sides. I mean, the counterpart from Rwanda side. And then we continued our activities. We didn't stop. But of course, we have obstacles that we were not really traveling and not face-to-face talking and having conversation or just interacting. And also what we have touched just, I think, 2 or 3 questions before about the African students. What we said that during the pandemic, because the border closures and then they're locked down, so nobody's traveling. You know, they close everywhere. So we said that, okay, I'm just, I asked, and how can I reach the Rwandan students in Turkey? And then I found their association, and they have gathered. And so I just said that, okay, let's come together and then, you know, have a meeting online.
Make them feel welcome.
Yeah, welcome. Yeah. And also, if you have any problems, please tell us. And so we just hold this thing. Now we're working at this stage on again online meeting with the bringing the financing means to each other. I mean, like banks and the financing institutes to have a webinar type of thing that makes both sides closer to each other and make business.
That's so important. Erhan, we are finishing our program. We have only one last minute left.
1 minute.
1 minute left,
okay,
unfortunately.
Sorry, I just
no
talked
problem.
too much.
You're amazing the way you're explaining. And Erhan Barutoglu is a really role model, ladies and gentlemen, that you need to contact. If you are doing business in Mozambique, Rwanda, in that area, South Africa, in that area, he is a role model. So, Erhan, I want to finish this show with your final words for our dear brothers and sisters in Africa as well as in Mozambique and Rwanda, if you don't mind.
No, I mean, just it's a pleasure. And so I just want to have a note here, because I said it also in the conference that I've been invited to Oxford University in UK. And during that time, I just had the latest slide. Let me tell you, I will just read from here.
Please.
And so I would like to reiterate the words of Wole Soyinka. It's a famous Nigerian author with Nobel Prize in 1986. And from his book Of Africa in 2012. It says that all claims that, I'm reading it, sorry for
please,
that, but all claims that Africa has been discovered are as unreal as the assertions that she will soon die. The discovery of Africa that will truly bring prosperity to herself in every means has not yet taken place. The discovery that we asserted is primarily the discovery of the self. Before everyone, and above all, Africa exists for Africans. Hence, we Turkey, particularly as they fully understand Africa business dynamics and African people, I can tell you the awareness of and consciousness of all of us is very high for African continent. We would like to work together with Africa and to assist the growth of African countries by sharing our experience and our knowledge and our know-how. Please contact us and please visit Turkey. I would like to emphasize once more that Turkey is the right and trustful partner for and in Africa. Thank you.
Thank you. Erhan Barutoglu. Remember this name. Stay tuned to NTR. Thanks.
Thank you.